All right, welcome. It is Beav's World here on the, as Pete said this morning, Christmas Eve, as it usually is for Thanksgiving Eve, before the parties and everything else will begin. And thank you all for coming back. Listening in here on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Don't forget, you guys can always download the app at sr1029thegame.com. It's right above us there, as you guys can see on the show banner. And below, things will be changing. I'll catch up Beav's World along with the other shows, meaning that on the bottom line, you guys will be able to see where to follow Beav's World. And of course, Jay. And thank you once again. You guys can text and call the show 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. And by the way, someone on another particular show decided, it's happened before, but they accidentally gave away their own personal number live on the show. And you can see basically the broadcaster trying to tell, like, the producer, like, cut the mic, because they got away with the first six numbers, and it was like the last four was like, yikes. So 727-858-6650 is where you can call this show in particular on the studio line. And thank you all for checking out the shows this morning. Start out with the Pete Shepard Show. Pete will be off until January 2nd, which will be a Thursday a week from now. And then the rest of the shows were lined up for today. Of course, myself now with Beav and Beav's World. And then later on this evening will be Lloyd Vance's Insider Football right here on Sports Radio. Lloyd Vance with Kevin Midget. And that will close out the shows for this season here on the Coastal Sports Network. And we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, for Beav joining the network here. Of course, good Lord, I can't even believe it's been a fast 4 months, Beav.
Yeah, it's crazy. This started out just you, me, and Pete talking on social media, and then Pete's like, "Beav, you got to come on." And ever since, you guys said, "Hey, you want to have your own show?" And the standards are pretty low at our network, so you guys hired me. So there you go. It's been great. It's been fun. I can't thank you and Pete enough. I mean, I love you guys when I'm getting up to going at 7:15. So that's usually it's pretty crazy, but appreciate you and the support, and obviously all the listeners and people joining in. So it's cool. It's a really good thing. And we're talking about sports. We're in the toy aisle, but we all love it. And anybody who's heard you screaming about the Eagles, like you did earlier this morning, which is pretty funny, and your Aaron Rodgers takes and all that, it was pretty good. But, I like to talk about things and have opinions and a lot of great resources. And, I answer my phone. So there's always something interesting on the other end of my phone sometimes, usually. And it's good. But, and obviously the holidays, everybody get that out of the way. Happy holidays. Everybody stay safe. We get a really bad ice storm here, rain and sleet and ice. So be careful out there driving. Don't be stupid. If you can stay in, stay in. It's pretty dangerous out there right now. I was out all day at work in and out, and the roads and sidewalks are just brutal. It's all ice.
And the worst part, I think when I lived up in New England, and because you brought up about Aaron Rodgers, because we're not done with that either. But when I lived in New England, I think the worst part was the one time we were driving. My uncle I was following my uncle, and he was getting his car repaired.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse when you watch the roads turn from wet to just black ice, like in front of you, because everybody's, it wasn't like people were going fast because we were expecting it. But even if you're doing 35 miles an hour and you go touch your brakes, the car's like, what would you like me to do? We're on ice. We're going to skate. It's like having a pair of skates on rubber wheels. You're just going to slide, maybe. And that's what it is. But yeah, if you're out there in Michigan, up in the Northeast, down here, thankfully, we don't have that issue. Down in Tampa, we just deal with a little bit of chilly weather every once in a while. But today got up to 74, I believe. So it was nice down this neck of the woods. So yeah,
I hate you, Angel.
Don't
be a weather jerk. Don't be a weather jerk. Don't do that to me. I can't step out on my walkway to go to my bus without slipping and falling and breaking my head. And you're talking about 74 degrees.
Listen, I don't miss it. I dealt with it for many, many moons, and I do not miss it whatsoever. The one thing that's always, thankfully, I've only had to take off once in light snow. But we're watching over the weekend how they de-ice the planes. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am not a fan of flying anywhere in this atmosphere when there's either ice that's predicted to be everywhere and yet on snow. Listen, I'm not a fan. I would rather reschedule my flight.
So no, my whole relationship with airports and my dad's in import export logistics. So basically, he just shipping import export his whole life, for over 40 years. And I grew up literally at airports. My dad, first company when I was a little kid, he owned his own company right by Logan Airport in Boston. If you understand where Logan Airport is, it's on a peninsula, and not to make light of anything, but they haven't had a lot of serious crashes. You know why? If there's going to be a crash, they crash into the water and they just evacuate everybody. They don't have what my dad was on a plane once that had this happen. So, it's interesting to see. My view of flying is different than everybody else. I didn't fly for almost 10 years, just oddly up until recently. And I've taken a lot of trips the last 6-7 years. I've even gone home to the Boston area, 6 or 7 times. But you're right. You just be smart with the flying and so forth. But technology and everything. There's my man Jerry. Uh, uh, no. Angel is not an asshole. Angel and I are having fun. Angel's my boss. Be nice. But no. And by the way, I could go live in Florida if I want to. I choose to live here and deal with this wonderful weather. But
Yeah.
so that's part of it. But no, yeah, obviously airlines at this time of year, it's very stressful on the flight crews and everything. I had a crazy experience about 3 years ago trying to fly home to Boston, like on like December 28th. And my flight was delayed like 5 or 6 times. I ended up getting in to Boston around 4 o'clock in the morning. I was supposed to get there at noontime that day. And I had to take a cab from Logan Airport to my hometown, Andover. And I ended up getting the destination at my coach's house at 5:30 in the morning. So, and of course, I didn't wake him up for obvious reasons. But no, texting him, and it was Delta. They did a good job updating me, telling me what was going on. My plane was originally supposed to leave Detroit. They diverted it. This is a whole system wide problem with a lot of their pilots were west of Denver, so they were stuck during Christmas. A lot of them go to Phoenix, and
Right.
then when there's a storm in like Utah, you understand it's like a food chain. If one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So I ended up in Minnesota of all places, dropped up in Minnesota. And my plane left from Minnesota for Boston at like 1 o'clock in the morning, Minnesota time. So that's how I got to Boston at 4 in the morning. But I just was texting Kathy and a couple of my other friends and CPR, my coach, and they all knew what was going on. And I got into the airport in Boston around 3:34 in the morning and got to CPR's door around 5:30 in the morning. So there you go. So
Yeah. It's whether that's the one
this
thing.
was the 21. Excuse me. This is the 2021 Christmas season, right before the Michigan Georgia game. I believe it was in Arizona. I think I got it right. I hope I got it right. Yeah.
I know that for me, when I came out of airborne school, I remember when I was coming out of flying out of Atlanta, I was going
Yeah.
back home to pick up my card and then
I love
arrived.
that airport, by the way. I love Atlanta's airport.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Would you have that shuttle that goes under the
Subway
airport?
system. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat the way. I mean, they
Tampa
have it
has
well
that too.
organized. Huh?
Tampa has the subway thing too, which is cool.
They do it, and it makes it a little bit easier to get kind of back and forth to
No
the
question.
terminal and stuff,
No
which is
question.
really good. Where you're not doing like the kind of Chicago O'Hare run where you're just zipping across the airport trying to get there like Home Alone. That's that Chicago O'Hare. God bless. That's a crazy terminal, but even
Yeah.
so, they even do a pretty good job. I know the one time when I came out of
Angel, when was the last time you went to Logan Airport in Boston?
it's been years.
Okay, so you understand how that's set up. There's the two terminals. They have the one for Delta and the one for everybody else. And it's a little the driving's rough because it's bought, and again it's on a peninsula, but you have the two terminals and everything's letters, no numbers, AB, terminal A, terminal B, and everything's pretty organized, but it's rotary and it's kind of confusing, but it's way better than 40, 50 years ago when I was a little kid. I'll never forget that. It was crazy back in the day. And Detroit's had renovations too in the last 15, 20 years here too. So Detroit Metro, I'm talking about.
Speaking of him, which we never get political around here, but because it does involve sports per se, and you just mentioned Logan Airport. How about the current sitting president decided to pardon one of the Boston airport, or excuse me, one of the Boston Unibombers that was at the Boston Marathon? What in God's green earth? I don't understand. How do you pardon someone like that? And the families, I'm pretty sure, are going to go bananas. But that to me is absolutely insane. But speaking about insanity,
Maybe that's a further illustration of why that man's no longer the president and wasn't going to be reelected.
yeah, it's insane. A lot of stuff goes on, and again, we don't get political around here. But I just think because it's sports related, it's absolutely nuts. But I do remember leaving out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we just got done with airborne school. I'm heading home, and we finally got the green light to because there was a storm in the area, and basically the pilots were saying, "Listen, we're going to try our best to get you guys airborne, get you guys home, and hopefully you get to your destination." I've never been a fan when they say your final destination, because like, really, do we need to go there? How about we get to the destination and we finally made it? How about that one? That one to me is always cringe. Like, why do we always say the final destination? Because even if you're transferring for another flight, it's not technically really your final destination. So that's the thing. But I remember we got up and we're climbing still at this point, and you hear the chime, doom, doom, pretty much keep your seatbelt on. We always know until we reach that 31,000 flying level feet. And then finally, as long as everything's steady, they take it off, and here we go. So we're getting to that 31,000 feet. And all of a sudden, it was like 3 times. Like, ding, ding, ding. I'm thinking, did someone win something? Because I don't get it. And all you feel is just a plane drop for about 4 seconds. Now, again, coming from airborne school, I got a parachute on my back. I got no problem. Open up the door. I'm out. See you later. Good luck, everyone. But it dropped, and the lady that was in the seat next to me clenched my hand like she was ready to have a baby and looked me with this cold, hard feeling like, are we going to be okay? And what am I going to say? I'm in uniform. So I'm like, listen, we're going to be just fine. In the meantime, on the inside, I'm the same way, just like that lady, except for I'm not showing him. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what we're doing right now? Pilot comes on and he says, well, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that small bump in the sky there. Apparently, must have hit some sort of air pocket.
So, Angel, when that woman grabbed your hand, I thought you were going to give me the scene from Airplane again. I've never been with a man before, and I don't think we're going to make it through this.
Oh, that's freaking that movie.
A young girl, if you've seen Airplane has so many great scenes, and then the second one when they had William Shatner in it as Captain Murdoch on the moon base. Oh my God, that's so good.
It's great times. That's you guys want to watch
that movie today, by the way. You wouldn't be able to make that movie today where everybody gets so offended.
Yeah, no, that was the best ever when he unplugs the lights coming down the runway strip. Yeah, that was.
There's a sale at Pennies.
Yeah. When he tells him the shit's gonna hit the fan, and poof, there he goes, and it hits the fan. It's so freaking without them saying it, because obviously there were certain things they couldn't say it.
Well, and the other thing, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar part of it was awesome.
Oh, it was.
You dragged Walton and Lanier up the floor for 48 minutes, kid. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing himself a jerk who was an NBA player.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of funny as hell, but yeah.
If you guys want to go back, watch the movie. It is an all-time classic.
By the way, one of the great mysteries of all time is how Robert Hayes didn't become a huge star off of that movie, because he was awesome in that.
That is true.
It's one of those things that makes no sense.
There was a couple of people that were in that movie that they should have hit some sort of star, or at least
Julie Haggerty too. Julie Haggerty was great, but Lloyd Bridges and a lot. Chuck Connors. Chuck Connors was a big deal, and Lloyd Bridges was too, and Robert Stack, who America's Unsolved Mysteries, what the hell it's called. He's like Captain Serious, and the Naked Gun guy, Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. As you just say this, Shirley can be serious.
Shirley, don't call me serious. Shirley, I know.
It's such a great movie. But speaking of it,
so many great lines.
It is. That's one you could probably spin off 35 different shows with the lines in that movie and how many of them on there. Even when they pull up to the airport, No,
Mhm.
the other phone. It's just there was so much that went on with that movie.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so freaking great.
Think of the white courtesy phone. No, the
Yeah,
other one. The other. How about the lady sitting there with the meter running in her cab? That's the other
yeah,
one.
yeah. Because he pulled up. He said, "I'll be right back," and then he's just sitting there, and the meter's still running by the end of the movie. It just God, there were so many great lines in that
And
movie.
and I think it was Robert Stack walking through the airport. All the charity guys coming home, and he's beating the hell out of all of them.
Yeah,
He like, Christians for Christ, and he hits
yeah.
the guy.
And that brings up another good point too. You remember how before 9/11, obviously a lot of things you can get away with, but those guys used to be at the airport all the time and
I know.
never
Oh,
bother
I know.
anybody. They used to give you the little flower on the stem, and basically, if you want to make a donation, you could have. But man, it was just has times changed. Holy moly,
Well, I
have
mean,
times
that's what
changed.
Angel. That's what happens when people fly airplanes into the World Trade Center.
Yeah,
Kind of a little bit of an event.
yeah,
It's a little different world since then.
it
But
is.
back then, when the Patriots didn't have any Super Bowls, now they have 6. So, and I might
True.
know somebody a little responsible for that, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, no, true. All right, before we get into some college football talk, as I had
Hmm.
mentioned earlier on, in case you guys had missed it, Aaron Rodgers decided to make this, fun little documentary called Enigma out there on Netflix. And listen, I don't know, and I've been waiting for this one because you got to think if you're Aaron Rodgers, yet alone you're a New York Jets fan.
You're using thinking and Aaron Rodgers together, so I'm concerned already. But continue.
But my thing is that if you're a fan, are you more upset because he's basically telling you in black and white, yet all in color, is that he's 60% checked out, but the 40% that's left in him is going to say he wants to win another Super Bowl. So that's the one part. And then the other part is that I would love for at one point or another for Danica Patrick to come on the show. If Danica, if you're listening, because the relationship level of what they had, and get along with other people. We all know, like, what is it, Derek Jeter?
Clayton Woodley was one of his girlfriends too, right?
Yep.
Clayton Woodley, and then wasn't there an one of the SNL girls?
Yes.
And that live girl he was with for a while.
Yep. And I think she was, after Danica Patrick. I'm not 100% certain, but it was either before or after Danica
So
Patrick. Too.
AD
Yes.
after that, there you go. So
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
I like Danica, and I mean she's all over the place now because of her political stuff. But I always liked her as a person. I think there's a lot when you're a trailblazer like Jackie Robinson and Willie O'Ree and so many other guys, and to a lesser extent guys like Warren Moon and Jackie Harris and James Harris, excuse me, and all the other black quarterbacks, Randall Cunningham, guys I grew up watching. I think it takes a lot of heat to do that and be a minority. I mean, people joke about it, but Cooper DeJean on your Eagles, he's like, how many white corners are there? So, I think when you're the lone wolf in the forest, kind of you get a lot of hype, and every day you don't want to talk, but you have to kind of because you're the representative of your group. And speaking of NASCAR, one of the people I have the highest level of respect for is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Because every day of his life he has the following happen. He has some fan come up to him and ask him apologize for his dad. He relives that every day of his life. There's never a day, I can guarantee you, that doesn't happen where some fan doesn't come up to him and bring that. Hell, if I met him, I'd say it. So it's just, hey, everybody's. I know you're tired of hearing this, but man, your dad was awesome, and you did a good job living up to him and all that. But just the way life is.
Yeah. No, that is. But the whole thing with the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm trying to figure out because I try to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I really do. I honest to God,
And then you watch his show and you don't want to give him any benefit.
you don't. But my thing is it's. First of all, you come out last week and you say you're not talked about enough. Q had just mentioned on his show a little while ago, and you're saying you're not mentioned enough, but in the meantime, you're on the Pat McAfee show. Then you also decide to insert the documentary inside of inside of his Netflix special. But here you turn around and you're basically you come out and you say, listen, a lot of people just don't understand exactly where I am, where I want to be. The Ayuka therapy that I'm going with, it's really working out for me. And
Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca, yes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, ayahuasca. Thank you, B, for correcting Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, Angel, if there's one thing you know about me, I know my drugs.
That's true.
Very, 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 very important.
That is true. But he makes me laugh because it's like, again,
I like watching him play. It makes me laugh. I like watching him lose, but continue.
there's got to be something deeper going on with Aaron Rodgers and the reason why he decided to kind of put this out there.
Weird guy.
Yeah, okay. So you go through this therapy. He brings one of the other players that's now involved in this whole therapy thing. And there's at one point they're playing like a drum, and they're singing whatever it is that they're singing, and somebody else is playing some kind of ukulele-ish type deal. And listen, if there's a resting retreat that everybody's been through, I'm not mocking it. I'm just telling you that it's kind of, you're in the National Football League. You are spotlighted forever, no matter what you do. Yep. Then you turn around and basically you're telling the team, listen, I know we have this thing called camp, and I get it. And I have an unexcusable one, as Robert Salah put in there, but I'm going to go ahead and do this anyways. You go to this place of darkness for 5 days. And as he says, when you have 5 days filled with darkness, you have no idea what it's like. No, I think pretty much everybody knows exactly what it's like because no one told you had to go there. And then he says, well, people came to deliver food to me, and then I had all this time to think. Listen, you give me 15 minutes to think for myself. It's just too much, number one. But the constant whole thing is like, I'm there. I don't think people really understand. And I'm really trying to find this place where I'm relaxed. And my brother was on this dating show, and he went on it, and he said he left 2 chairs out there, and I was never going to be a part of that show. But Aaron Rodgers really just has to figure out exactly what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, because I want to win another Super Bowl championship. But at the same time, Jets fans, I am checked out on you. Minus the Pat McAfee show, I am checked out on you. It really, like, we left. Thank God. I mean, we do pay for it because it's a membership monthly, but it's like, what did I just witness? Am I really do I empathize with Aaron Rodgers, or is it right?
You and I have nothing to. This guy isn't even in the same realm as me and you. He doesn't take his own career seriously. That's the whole problem with him. It's not. I'm not asking you to be 100% buy-in like Tommy and some of the other great players, but have it in like a top 3, and like, hey, I'm supposed to be at practice and OTAs and team meetings, and then when you come out after you're coming off your Achilles, you're rusty, and the offense isn't good at the beginning of the season. Oh shit! I wonder why that happened.
Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna let Aaron on a little piece of advice, okay? And there's a guy over here. See that guy there with the 7 rings? There's a reason why he has 7 rings and Aaron has. And one of the major reasons why for that is that guy slept in shit football for 25 years.
He did.
Closer to 30 years, actually. And literally every day of his life for about 30 years, he did something football related. You know how I know this? You know somebody else who did that for 30 years? Me. I still do it. It's a habit. But you do some, when you are invested in your career, Angel, you run our station, you run a network. I don't care what you do. Hell, on Christmas, you do something related to our network at least once every day. Hell, I do it. And I just start with you guys. That's how you get to being an elite high level instead of being some slapdick on the Jets because there's no other team that will take you.
Yeah. No,
by the way,
true.
if the Jets fired him tonight, there wouldn't be very many teams looking to bring in Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Because, first of all, there's a lot of teams in the league that have really good young quarterbacks. And the last thing you want to do is bring this asshole in and pollute your team and your block. First of all, I think he's the team GM. He got rid of Michael Williams and he brought in Devontae Adams and whether trade for Randall Cobb and Lazard's there and all the stuff he's done. And the whole team catered to him, and that's why they're the Jets. He has no skin in the fight with them. He turned on the Packers continuously. He started to do what Favre did in his career, where he was going to leave, he was going to retire. So he started doing that, and he turned in that place against him. And he's just a weird dude, not somebody I have a lot of respect for as a player. He's got a lot of ability. He does some fun throws, and he's not a winning player. One of my favorite wins of Tommy's career was basically Tommy going in there in the 2020 NFC Championship game and basically ending his competitive phase of his career and taking them out in the NFC Championship game and then winning the Super Bowl and matching Aaron in NFC Championships and Super Bowls in his first year in the NFC.
That's what I mean. How?
By the way, I like to do that with Drew Brees too. There's another guy I'm not a huge fan of for different reasons, but I liked it. In Tom's first year, he tied Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers in Super Bowls in the NFC Championships in 1 year.
It's just it baffles me. It really does. The way how do you make a special? Why you're still
just so that you can understand. So the reason Angel he's allowed to be this way is he's really talented. That's why people put up with Antonio Brown and Terrell Owens and some of these other guys that are a pain in the ass. And what shocks some people, Peyton Manning's a pain in the ass. He's another one. But when they produce, they put up with it. It's when the 95-mile-per-hour fastball is going 87 and you get hit more. That's when it changes and people notice. That's when people get loud. If the Jets are winning, they wouldn't care about these stupid movies he's in and documentaries and his drugs and his shitty relationship with his family and his girlfriends and all this other stuff. But the team stinks, so let's talk about that. It's the same thing with the Giants. If they were good and they let Saquon Barkley and the general manager thought he was going to go to Chicago, nobody would care. But they stink, and that's the story. And obviously, Barkley's on your team kicking ass and taking names, and every friggin' week the Giants have to look at that.
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, they do. I mean, thankfully, I don't know how. And that's kind of a tricky situation, too, because how did they think?
No, it's not. They're going to fire. They need to fire Shane. They should fire him now.
No, they should, but I'm saying what made them think he was going to Chicago? That was my whole entire thing. What made you think he was going to go to the Bears? That made no sense. Like that between the GM and the owner apparently wasn't really, a hot.
Okay, when did they? Okay, remember they signed DeAndre Swift.
Right.
When did that happen? Dude, you got to look at the timeline and see when that happened to understand why he would think the Saquon. And if you remember, the Saquon thing happened fast with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of rumors. And that's, by the way, that's how Howie Roseman works.
Yeah.
Howie Roseman's a real general manager, unlike this guy who might be getting his donuts here in a couple weeks. So, I mean, I don't know. But, yeah, the Bears and Saquon. And maybe if you ask Saquon, maybe there was negotiations. You never know. Like, the stuff with Tommy coming out about, the Bears were an option for Tommy in 20, and he's talked about this. And there were a couple other ones that people don't know about. But the Bears were one people to know about. Figure it out. Who was the quarterback Tommy was making fun of? He's like, you want that guy over me? If I just explained to you what team it was that he almost went to, you can figure out which quarterback it was. Mitch Trubisky. So, it is what it is. But there's a lot of this stuff. You'd be stunned. A lot of the backdoor things go on. I mean, people know about the Lions. I mean, the Patriots are going to trade Rob Gronkowski to the Lions when Patricia was here. And Gronk called the Patriots, said, I'm going to retire. Don't trade me. Guess what? Mr. Kraft got involved and they didn't trade him.
Sure did. That he sure did.
Similar ones like that with other guys, but that's when you're a player, you got leverage.
That's so true.
Bengals are going to have to deal with in this offseason with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase because they mismanaged it this year. They should have paid one of them this year. Well, Jamar's going to be going into his last year next season. He's going to win the Triple Crown in receiver. And T. Higgins will be coming off of franchise tag. And the Bengals will go to Joe Burrow. Oh, we don't have enough money to pay both guys. Well, why didn't you pay him last year? That should be Joe Burrow's first ask about that. And this is why the Cowboys are where they are. Because they had an order. Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Zeke. They were all set. They were going to be a good position. And then Zeke held out. And they caved, and they paid him. And it screwed everything up. And that's where you got to keep your discipline with your salary cap and your payroll. This is part of the reason why the Eagles are good. Because they've controlled their cost and their cap and everything. They're doing it. Howie and his people have done a good job. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another team, have done a good job of this. So, to a lesser extent, yeah, Penguins a day late and $1 short. He couldn't tell the difference between shit and Shinola. So, there you go. So, you like that?
Hey, his Green Bay Packers, go Pack, go tonight, which I believe. It's funny how no one's talking about that. They could be also. The NFC Championship could end up being Detroit versus Green Bay, and I don't think that's really, really far fetched. I don't believe the way Tampa played. Tampa had soft coverage at times.
Tampa last night, what a bad loss.
Yep, but as Penguin AZ says, you're old school.
Penguin, don't tell everybody, but I'm 53. That's the line my mother used to say to me when I was a little kid. The funny thing is, with almost every line I use, is somebody said to me when I was there, they were my teacher or they were my coach, like, Flannelly, you couldn't play dead in a Western. There you go. There's one. So that's one. Things like that. And I try to use them. One of my biggest traits and skills is, I don't know if you know this, Angel, I really don't take myself very seriously. True. So it's if you haven't, I'm very intense, but I mean, opinions, like, that's what they are. And if you don't like me or I don't like you, who cares? Yeah. It's one less mouth to feed, as somebody from Game of Thrones would say.
Yeah, well, listen, you're not going to, there's one of those things, you're never going to make everybody happy. It's just the way it is. Some people are going to love a particular show because they say things a certain way. Here on this network, thankfully, with me.
We're all different, yeah.
Yeah, there's certain things and regulations I don't have to deal with at least at the moment, but at the same way too, when things come out naturally, it comes out natural. We're also not one of those networks either that's just going to consistently curse just to curse. It's one of those things when it comes out natural, it's part of the story. I've had people on beforehand and they wanted to tell the story, and the funny part was they would always ask me, "Is it okay if I curse?" Tell the story the way it is, because then you take away from the story. Penguin AZ, if you want to call in, by all means, go ahead. But that's the whole thing. There's certain ways you run a network, and you're right, because there's certain things we're supposed to be on a break. We will be on a break, but does that mean I go on a break? No, it means that there's stuff I have to get ready for 2025, and I have to run a network. I have to make sure things are polished and looking good and sounding good in order for people to keep coming back the way they've had. So, and LinkedIn today, for some reason, it went absolutely bananas with a lot of, as much as the comments that came in, the people, the tracking, and there's all kinds of different stuff. And the reason is because you have to work hard at your craft. No one's going to hand me a check. Nobody. So you have to keep doing things the way it's going to keep, keeping the wheels and the mice and the turning and the going back and forth. And Lord knows I lose. I'm up here. It's thinning out, and pretty soon it's going to be gone. But the reason why I do it, because again, when this stops being fun, and I say it over and over again, that's when it comes to an end. It makes it that much easier. And with Gabriel coming on board, and obviously with Rich, with the ownership here coming in at the very end of the year, and things are going to happen for next year, it's absolutely, it's maddening, to say the least. But before we get into some more, especially with the Monday night game coming up here, and I'm pretty sure that's what Penguin AZ wants to end up talking about, there's been some college updates, including, I think, Penn State surprising SMU, which was nice to see. Not nice to see was where they stuck SMU's band way at the top end corner of out there in Penn Stateville, which I thought was absolutely insane. But the other game that went on that maybe a lot of people didn't talk about as much either was the Ohio Bobcats, which ended up taking care of Jacksonville State University. And that was good. But you also had some news prior to us going on air, apparently the portal has already been busy there, Beav.
Yeah, they got Mikey, the Fresno State quarterback's coming to Michigan. He's coming here, and we're excited. Right now, hold on, I'll get you his last name and everything. But yeah, that's all over the place now. So it's pretty cool. Hold on, I'll get his name. The Fresno State transfer portal kid. He was visiting here, and we ran on like 3 or 4 different kids. The first guy everybody knew about was the Edwards kid, Billy Edwards from Maryland, who ended up going to Wisconsin. But yeah, it's I'm looking. Hold on, I'll get you. It's Mikey's his first name. Yep, here it is. Well, he started for Fresno State for 2 years. So where is he? I got him here. It's all over the internet too. Mikey Keene. Yep, he's got 1 year of eligibility left. 2 years at Fresno State, 5,800 yards and 42 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. He's a good runner too. He fits in what we want to do, and obviously everybody knows about. I mean, this year he's 70% completion, 18 touchdowns, almost 3,000 yards. He played us on August 31st. 22 for 36, 235, touchdown, 2 INTs. And, we were in on, everybody knows about Billy Edwards, and then the Baylor kid who ended up, I believe hasn't decided where he's going yet. Billy Edwards after visiting Wisconsin, committed there. And Daquan Finn, who was at Toledo and now at Baylor, he's still in the portal. And there's been some other guys that I know that have been involved with us. And, so we're good. I mean, we're in a good situation. Obviously, we can't foretell what's going to happen here with the portal and everything. But, it's good to get a guy in here to compete with Underwood and Davis Warren, who I think people are sleeping on. I thought Davis, considering the situation he was put in and everything he's overcome being a cancer survivor, and he's a great, great kid. If those are your 3 quarterbacks, we're in a pretty good situation here after what we've had to deal with the coaching change and JJ obviously going pro. He was a high draft pick, first round pick. And, going back to when Cade McNamara was here in 21, we've had a high level of quarterback play, and hopefully we'll get back there. And I would have liked them to keep Alex Orji, just because I think he's a good guy to have on a team and to change a pace, and he's a great kid. But, it's a business, and Alex is pursuing other opportunities, and he'll get an opportunity to play somewhere else. He's just too talented to be in this situation. And honestly, our whole season was put in a tough spot because of, again, the transfer portal, and when we got punished for our success because we played in a national championship game. And Washington went through the same thing too, obviously. Now, they lucked out because they were already getting Will Rogers, who was coming in the portal before they had the run with Penix and those guys, losing us. So they had the quarterback situation set up. And then, we won, and Coach Harbaugh and U of M couldn't come with contract, and then he went to the Chargers. So, while this is all going on, the portal's closing, and we're stuck where we are, and we still win 7-8 games. So, and, we ended Ohio State season. And, it is what it is. But we'll see. But I'm excited to have, when you have the quarterback situation resolved, to kind of stabilize everything. So with the team, and it's something that Sharon doesn't have to be asked about this anymore, and our players obviously too. And Underwood's going to be with the team down at the bowl practice, so he's going to get some work in too. So we'll see. But good time to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Is it starting to get to the point where it's getting? I want to say, as far as the excitement, because obviously we have the NFL draft, we have in the combine, more importantly, before the draft. But is it getting to be to the point, and I know I have Penguin AZ on hold here for a second, but is it getting to be as exciting now with the portal and the NIL, but more importantly with the portal, as even though the season technically hasn't come to an end because we still have all the bowl games up until January, but is it starting to build up more excitement to see where not only the fans are expected for these guys to make the transfer, but for the teams as well if they get the guy that they want?
I think it's different than the NFL draft. The NFL draft is the best players. It's the creme de la creme, the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Saquon Barkleys, the Joe Burrows, those type of guys. It's different now. A lot of the portal guys, they're disgruntled. They could get kicked off the team. Um, could have an injury, could have lost their job. Thomas Castellanos from Boston College is an obvious guy. Others, or the coaching change, things like that. It's different. I mean, Joe Burrow is like one of the greatest examples ever. He was never going to play at Ohio State. Ended up winning a national championship, being the first pick in the draft. Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield were also Heisman Trophy winners and transfer portal guys. And look at the guy playing quarterback for Ohio State now, Will Howard. And, obviously Day ran off the other kid who's now at Syracuse, Kyle McCord. So, and, our quarterback, who's one of my all-time favorite kids, Cade McNamara, he left here after, he got injured in the 22 season and JJ took the job. So, things like that. It's a good thing. I think anytime you're talking about activity in your sport's a good thing. But I think the portal, they can do changes with it. Like what's going on right now where you have the backup quarterback of Penn State having to make a decision, end up committing to Missouri. And, Ohio State's one play away from having Noah Brown being the quarterback, and he's in the portal too. So it's just, I don't know how you manage this, but I know what they're doing isn't a good thing for the current teams playing in the bowl games and the teams playing in the playoffs, because you have players deserting their teams, and it's nothing they're doing wrong. It's just that the way the portal's set up, they have to make a decision, and these guys are going for money. They're going for roster spots. It's kind of like a divorce, and they got to settle who gets what, and who gets the house, and who gets the car, and who gets the dog. Well, sometimes the teams get in the way, and it screws the team up. So I don't know what to make of it, but it's at least interesting. You and I are talking about it on December 23rd, and we're in the middle of the NFL season, hockey and basketball and baseball free agency, all the other stuff going on in the world. So it's interesting, but I don't know. Let's see where it is in a couple of years. But I think it's a good thing because it allows players that aren't in a good situation, and coaches change all the time and staffs change all the time. We see it. I mean, I'm sure all these Alabama guys thought Saban was going to be there forever.
Yeah.
And, the same thing here with Michigan and Harbaugh and, Kalen DeBoer at Washington and Jed Fitch at Arizona and all these other guys. But there's change. I mean, the Wake Forest coach quit in the middle of the week last week, David Dorn. And Biskert, the Washington State coach, took the job. So it is what it is. But I'm for player movement and players' rights. But I got to see if they can do a better job of this thing, because it's not good that Penn State's backup quarterback had to leave when he didn't want to leave. When he did, obviously he wanted to leave because he doesn't have a path to play, but that's for the 25 season, not right now.
Yeah.
And obviously his new school has rights too, because he could break his leg or something in the game. So like how Carson Beck did at the Georgia QB.
True. Very true. And speaking about people, we have Penguin AZ here, always joins us. And the only guy that starts off the morning with us, mind you, we start at 7 a.m. I'm up already at Dark 30. So is Penguin AZ, but he first starts to make his first comments of the day at 4:34 West Coast time in the morning, as it is 7:34 here on the East Coast. But nonetheless, as I appreciate my hermano, Penguin AZ, ¿cómo está, señor?
What's going on, fellas? I'm just happy, man. Thanks for letting me on. Jay is always good. Everybody's always good. I just get up and listen to good stuff. I start the coffee. By the time I get in my truck and get on the road, it's time to listen to the show. So listening to Pete, listening to all you guys. Real quick, you've made a lot of advances through everything, hermano. Go Pack Go, real quick. But yeah, man, I've been listening. I've been trying to be a loyal listener and always chime in. And man, it's been great. You guys always bring good content. Jay, just listening to all his knowledge, Pete, all his knowledge, your knowledge, Rich.
Well, my knowledge isn't a lot. That's why I do short segments.
Go
But
ahead, Jay.
continue. Go ahead. There you go. So there. Stop laughing.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. I know you always got to interrupt somehow. So no, but
I've
just
never heard that. I've never
yeah,
heard that, Penguin. Continue. Go ahead,
ahead.
sir.
See, I have to see you interrupted again. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
No,
No,
he turned it over. He turned the mic over to
I'm
you.
going to raise my hand.
No,
Can I talk? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Talk.
so just great stuff, man. I've enjoyed listening and watching the network grow and just turn on the things and just it's I live in Arizona, right? There's not too many great Arizona teams. I'm originally here. I'm gonna give a real quick backstory. I'm originally from California. I was born and raised California. My family moved down here in 1996 to the desert, and my Packers have been a team that I've followed since I learned about football, started paying attention. The Packers were on Channel 5 on the TV that I would turn with some pliers because we lost a knob. So you couldn't really turn the channel. So you had, and that's who was on TV. I mean, Reggie White, all the guys, and I just picked up, and that was my team. And I've been loyal to them. I have, but that's it. I pay attention to them, and I don't have all you guys are. Everybody on that I listen to this radio station. Everybody's on the East Coast, but I still, I like it. I watched Pete. I mean, I didn't know Angel was on. He got on with Tony. That's what I knew from him. And next thing you know, he's got his own network. He's got his own radio. And I've been a loyal listener, man. I have fun, and I kind of like always hope that you guys are on or once a week, once a day, just to listen. Even though they're not a lot of West Coast sports based, but hey, it's I don't listen to any other radio stations. I don't listen to any other sports radio or nothing. It's you guys. I don't even Tony's not on no more, but whatever. He's on every Friday on No Filter. But anyway, thanks, Angel. You built a great thing, man, and I'm a loyal listener, brother. Thank you.
No,
I
listen.
appreciate everything you've done. You guys have just grown, bringing on Jay, bringing on Pete. I mean, having loyal to Advanced football, and then I'm a basketball guy. I'm a Laker guy, being from LA, but I'm everywhere. Like I'm a
I knew
Laker
there was
fan,
something about you I
I'm a
didn't like.
Packers
I just
fan,
figured it out. You don't like the
and
you
I'm a
like the Lakers.
Diamondback fan.
I'm
So, like, people look at me like, "Are you all right, man? Like, you live in Arizona? Like, you should be a Cardinals fan, a Suns fan, and I was a Coyotes fan, but now they don't even have a team no more. But
Yeah.
I listen to you guys, and I've stuck listening because this is my sports stuff. You guys bring everything, even though it's not only East Coast based. You always bring in the West Coast. You always give me shout outs, Angel, and great stuff, hermano. I mean, I sending you good vibes and everything. It's a blessing in disguise for you, and I hope. But this is good stuff, man. I appreciate everything you've done, and I'm a loyal listener. You got me. Jay is great, even though he always butts in, but
No, listen, Penguin AZ, I appreciate it. And as Rick Marcus
I don't
says,
mean to steal the show, though.
yeah, no.
Go ahead.
Rick says, I see the sweat building on Jay's head because the comment before that was Jay's dying over there to say something. You got this, Jay. But listen, no.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, I have to, one thing I've learned is that you have to appreciate the people who work hard, the loyal listeners, the folks that tune in, because if you guys aren't out there, there's none of us. I don't care who says what. You can work for the biggest network out there. If you don't pay attention and you don't bring up the comments from the people who you've had stations, and I can tell you myself before I owned my own station here. I used to call the local stations back in Philly, and it took me years to finally kind of break through to get a comment in there. But when you bring people in, whether it's a phone, whether it's a social media comment, whether it's on a text line, there's an appreciation factor because you know that people are listening in and you want to respect them in return by letting them know, hey, your voice can be heard, especially here on this network, because everybody has been through here at one point or another. And we got some guys like Ryan F., who used to be with me before, and he's gone on to move and do other things as well. And I'm appreciative for the people that have come across. Like you had mentioned, we were with Tony and Robin beforehand. I spun off, and then I've had Broad Street South now for since COVID, since 2020, and I've helped people along the way. And I just chose to go ahead and do my own route and do my own thing because it's been a while since I've been helping people out, and now it's just a point that I need to not only help myself out, but continue to help others as well. And with you, Penguin AZ, I mean, you've come over. We've had fun. We've had conversations off air as well. And because of the connection that you build with people that you care about is what makes this network continue to thrive. And it will continue to keep growing.
Exactly, Angel. I've added Jay to my Facebook, and you know what? I'm not a big social media guy. You know, I'll post stuff from here and there. I've added Jay to my social media. I've added Kathy, which is his partner, I think, business partner. You know, like you start growing these little network relationships. I'm like, I know Jay is like fucking Michigan all day. Like I would have to probably knock him out or whatever for him to wear an ASU jersey or something, you know. But that's how like
I actually like Coach Dillingham.
Like,
I
you
like
guys
Coach
are all
Dillingham a lot.
old school, like, you know, they know when you hear them talk, and anybody that you've had on the network, SR 1 and 2.9, the game, Coastal Sports Network, they all have good info, man. You could tell that they're not some J off that doesn't know what they're talking about. Anybody that comes on and talks about sports, whatever it is, right? Whatever team they follow, whatever they do, you could tell that they're immense in it. So if I could say something, I'm gonna be your Packers beat writer from Arizona, okay?
Sure.
And
Sure.
go Pack, go, baby. Let's go. Jay, can I get your honest opinion? Do you think the Packers have a chance against the Lions? I don't.
Well, I do because of the state of the Lions defense.
Okay, fine. But man, Dan Campbell is a beast. You don't.
I
He's
know,
gonna plug
but
in players
time
that,
out.
you know,
Let me
he's
talk.
got
Let me talk. Now
the
you made fun of me
chemistry,
for letting
Jay.
out
He's
any
got
of
the
our.
chemistry that, you know what, these
No,
guys, if he was to tell this rookie or this a guy off the practice squad, I want you to run through this wall,
no,
the guy will do it.
I know,
And that's what you need.
I know. Okay,
Am I
can I?
wrong?
You're right. I love Coach Campbell, and I want the Lions to win. But let me explain a couple of things to you. You think the Packers? You think the Packers have? You think the Packers have a good team?
They do. They do.
Okay,
I
it's
think
really hard to beat a team three
they need,
times, right?
I'm sorry?
Okay, it's really hard to do that, right? Guess
Yeah.
what the Lions are going to have to do to beat that team? They have to beat them three times. And you talk about Coach LaFleur like he's some dope. He's not. When Aaron Rodgers did what he did, he built that team up with the young quarterback from Utah State. They got a good team. They will have a chance to beat the Lions. And the Lions have to play their way. First of all, they need to secure the 1 seed. That's the first thing, which means beating San Francisco next game. But in the playoffs, strange things can happen. The Lions easily could have lost to both the Buccaneers and the Rams at home last year. Both of those teams in the playoffs had the ball driving to win the game. And the Lions made a play on defense. And the most underreported part of what's going on with the Lions that nobody talks about, the best player on the team broke his leg. That's Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinsons don't grow on trees. That doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
And he provides there were 4 positions in the NFL and football that are vital. Defense, number 1 corner and pass rusher. Offense, left tackle, quarterback. If you have an elite player at one of those positions and he gets hurt, that's not good. So guess what? So they're down their best pass rusher. They haven't replaced him. Impacts everything they do on defense. Does that mean the Lions can't win? No. Does that make them more vulnerable? Yes. It's like, great example, my buddy Angels team. Carson Wentz is the MVP of the NFL. He gets hurt, tears the ACL. They put in Nick Foles, who you should know a little bit about with his Arizona roots. Comes in, beats my team in the Super Bowl because Bill Belichick decides, hey, Malcolm Butler really isn't that important. Let's let him not play. So they win that game, but it's football. Strange, funny things happen in football. And you never know what's going to happen. So Packers have a good team. Lions beat them twice. It's hard to beat a good team 3 times. I'm just funny. Hey, did you think Dallas was going to beat the Buccaneers before last night's game started? Guess what? It's the NFL. NFL stands for not for
You would
long.
think that they're coming around, though, Jay. I mean,
Who?
you let Cooper Rush play for more than 3 or 4 games. I mean, the
Yeah,
plan
he's a good
together.
backup quarterback.
You know, they're starting to have a little bit of cohesion, right? Like, I think it takes any team at least 4 or 5 games to finally start gelling and understanding. Like, you know, Jay, if you and I were on a team, and hey, you know, I might not like you for 3 or 4 weeks. I might not like you for 7. But you know what? After a while, like,
7 years.
you got to work together. So that's a lot of it too. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. It's what I said.
Especially now,
NFL, not too
teams have
long.
to
Things
start
change.
gelling and, you know, really getting locked in, especially now. And, you know, losing players that are really good to the team vibe, and to the chemistry of the team, that bring a couple of the knuckleheads together. That, you know, some knuckleheads might lose a little bit on the team, but I think, like you said, losing such a strong guy, such a strong presence in the locker room, like Hutchinson, that's got to
Team
be
leader, too.
really Debbie
Team
Downer,
leader.
man. It's got to bring a lot of the team down. Like, hey, fuck, man, we lost our guy. You know, like we
Look
lost.
how upset the Texans were there with Tank Dell. I mean, Tank Dell's a really good player. The guy
Texans are,
shattered his
you know,
leg. His
you know,
teammates are
they're
freaked out.
like CJ Stroud is crying on the field. I mean, that's a lot.
CJ's a good dude.
That was
So
it's tough because, again, that was a gruesome injury. I could not imagine having a dislocated kneecap, and I mean, granted, of course, they blocked him out because they wanted to make sure. I would be screaming so much agony. I think that the entire stadium and outside would have heard me. But no,
well, the dude had like 3 injuries all in the same.
Yeah.
Lost his kneecap, his, you know, Achilles, and some others. I'm like, damn, yeah, like a
For his
3 in
ACL,
1.
he's going to dislocate a kneecap and ACL.
Yeah. It stinks. But it's in the NFL. That's what you sign up
He had
for.
injuries last year too. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's what you sign up for. It's the worst thing possible. But nonetheless, I think, to me, for
But
Penguin
the thing
AZ,
is, like, a player, your own teammate, does this. Like, do you think that has a little bit more of an effect, or do you think they just roll with it like whatever, it's football?
no, but that was accidental though. You know, it was unfortunate timing. It wasn't like his own teammate meant to do it. I mean, it's just it's unfortunate. Well, how many tackles have we not seen with guys? You know, I think it was Vita Vea at one point last night. He had twisted his ankle and one of his own guys rolled her over. So I mean, it's unfortunate incidents that end up happening, and we don't want it to happen in the NFL, but it happens, especially later on in the season. The bad part is with the Texans, just like the Cowboys, unfortunately, the same way. They've had a lot of injuries, and which cost them, obviously, ultimately the game with Kansas City and other things as well. But I mean, I don't think anybody's taking it to heart that, his own teammate did not cause that to happen. It was just a timing. It's like an accident at a 4-way intersection. You just happen to be the person coming through that intersection, and 2 other people decided they want to do their own thing, and you're just the one that's involved in the middle of it. So it's unfortunate, but everybody's going to revive. Hopefully they're going to be fine. It's going to be a long, long process for him to come back. And not only that, mentally, he's got to figure out when he comes back into the game, that first tackle, and anybody who's ACL, MCL, ankles, shoulders, you name it, that first hit, once they get it out of the way, that's it. It's like DeMar Hamlin. When he got that first tackle that he got, it was the same exact way. He wanted to make sure that he was fine. So it's things that do happen. But tonight, I'm assuming you want, obviously, Green Bay to be there, because to me, I've mentioned a lot of people want to talk about having the Eagles as a shoe-in, pretty much the AFC Championship, but there's a lot of people who have counted out Jordan Love. And let's not forget either, too, Penguin AZ, when they came in Brazil, there was a big point where it could have been really bad for Jordan Love. Thankfully, it wasn't with the field that he ended up playing out there, but he's been playing well. Green Bay has come back, and Green Bay is looking strong. And everybody knows, even if they would have met Dallas once again in the playoffs, Green Bay has been Dallas's daddy now for 3 seasons in a row, including with Jordan Love. So, what's your take for tonight with your Go Pack Go?
Um, I got to ride with the pack, obviously, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the defense, man. If a team has to get 5, they'll get it. We're so soft over the middle. I mean, we got Edwin Cooper that came back. Jair Alexander is prone being hurt. He needs to just either we need to let him go or restructure his contract, because when he's gone, a lot of the vibe on the defense, exactly on the cornerback and the safeties and all that, is gone. But Xavier McKinney, man, that guy is a beast. That guy has got like he had 6 in INTs,
Yep.
but we just have to shore up the defense. The defense still got to keep under Jeff Haley. I mean, we're doing good. Kenny Clark needs to. I wish you just have a great, outstanding season. We get no pass rush. Jay, am I wrong? No pass rush sometimes. None.
Well, you have to. Well, first
None.
of all, you remember you've had the coaching change with the coordinators. The Coach Halfley come in, who I'm familiar
Yeah.
from Boston College. You got one of my U of M guys, Rashard Gary's your best pass rusher. Just mentioned Kenny Clark. It's hard when you go from being a 3-4 nose guard to the change in the scheme and everything. So his
Right.
role has kind of changed. Kenny Clark has. He was an
Yeah.
elite player in the old scheme, and now it's changed with him. And you mentioned Xavier McKinney, another mistake by the Giants. He was leading the league in interceptions for most of the year, and the Giants let him go. And Barkley. I mean, you two guys are benefiting from the stupidity of James Skeen, or whatever the hell his name is, the Giants general manager. He gave Angel Saquon, and he gave you McKinney. So it's
Yeah.
pretty
And
funny. But
LaFleur needs to sometimes keep running the ball. Set up the play
that's why
action.
they have Josh Jacobs. And remember, A.J. Dillon got hurt, so that was part of their plan.
You got Jacobs, go. You got
Who?
a dog in Jacobs. He's a dog, Jay. He is a
I
dog.
know. Don't need to tell me.
You give
He's a
that
great
guy
he's
the
a great
rock.
player. He's on like half my fantasy teams.
He's like a Travis Henry, like less 2.0, okay?
You
He's
realize they're
not
on the same team together in college, right? And Alvin Kamara was there too. Those three
I mean,
guys were on
come
the
on,
same
let's
team at
go.
Alabama.
So do the Packers run the table for the rest of the season? No. It's gonna be tough against Vikings. We're gonna have a
And you
hard
know, the
time.
whole city of Detroit and the state of Michigan is going to be ruined for you next week.
Jay, I thought you weren't a Lions fan. Stop. Okay?
No.
No.
Time out. I have friends on that team and around that team, and I watch the Lions. I don't have a team because
No.
Tommy
I
retired.
know, that's what I said. That's what I
No,
said. I'm like,
time out.
I
Calm
think
down.
Jay is like a Lions fan, even though he doesn't follow him, but secretly
No,
he is.
you know
Secretly
I
he
live
is.
in Michigan, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of my friends work for the team and play for the team and cover the team.
I
So
love
yeah,
you. Love you
so
guys.
I've known
Thank
Dan Campbell for
you.
25
Thank you,
years.
Angel. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Rich. Thanks everybody on the network. Gas Pump Guy. I'm gonna give a shout out. Oh, I'm gonna give
Yeah,
a shout out to everybody. Gas Pump Guy, Joey B, Rick M, Dylan. I mean, everybody, man. It's been such a pleasure knowing everybody, listening to everybody's stories and
yeah.
everything.
Penguin. Let me ask you,
Each and every
where'd
one
the
of, like I
penguin
said, I
come
don't
from?
have too many sports radio stations I listen to. You guys are my sports updates. So that's why I sign in or I try to start listening to music, or you got your show. As soon as I get up, I turn it on and everything. Thanks again, Angel. Thanks for letting me get on and give my 2 cents, brother.
No,
Penguin.
perfect.
Where does your name come from?
I'm looking
Where does your
forward to
name
being
come
on.
from,
And
Penguin?
like I said, can I talk about the Packers every once in a while?
Sure. By all means. By the way, 2 things real quick. Deborah Lynn, thank you for tuning in. As she says, great job. Good job, guys. Appreciate it. And
My executive producer.
oh,
Thank you.
nice. And Jay wanted to know, how did you get the name Penguin AZ?
So
Where did
um,
penguin come
I
from?
hold on. Okay. So growing up, I worked at, I've been, I work in selling landscape materials like pavers, brick, and anything for your landscaping outside,
Hmm?
pavers, brick, stone, anything landscaping, right? So
Yep.
I worked with these guys, and one of the guys, they're like, "Hey, man, you walk like a penguin." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Sure." And sure enough, they're like, "Oh yeah." So everybody calling me El Pingüino, which is the penguin in Spanish,
Yep.
So, man, that's the penguin AZ. So, I even got a little upside down penguin hanging on the back of my Chevy truck, and that's my thing. I become the penguin AZ. So that's how it came up, and it kind of is. So once I meet you guys, which I hope to do someday, don't even say nothing. Just look how I walk, and then you'll see why I'm called the penguin AZ.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. By the way, let's not forget either Jerry.
Thanks, hermano.
No problem. Let's not forget either about Jerry from Rhode Island because he's been a loyal listener, not only obviously to Pete, and then he comes over and listens to Martinez company here with Beav's World. So Penguin AZ, thank you, man. I do appreciate it. It is.
Look at Rick. I'm saying, show me the love, Green Bay. Let's go.
There you go.
Go, Jay. Let's go.
That's it. We'll see. Listen, I'm hoping that they need the next 2 wins. It's definitely going to be needed for Green Bay in order to be able to taking down Minnesota is going to be a tall task. We all know this, but we shall see.
Christian Watson, man, this is your make or break year, Jay. Christian Watson, let's go.
One of your receivers. You get a million receivers, so I don't think it's.
He has been, but
he's very
come on,
inconsistent.
man. You want to get paid.
Dobbs will be your best
You have
receiver.
to make the plays to get paid, right, Jay? You have to make the plays to get played.
I think you said it backwards, but I get you. Yeah, you're good. No, they have a million receivers on that team, and you have the tight ends that are good too. So we'll see. But
Thanks,
yeah,
fella.
well,
Appreciate
No
you.
problem.
Everything, man.
anytime.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
Same here, Penguin
you have a
AZ.
good Christmas. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Go, Pat, go.
That's it. All right, there goes Penguin AZ. It's always a great time when he gets on. I know he probably had. Listen, hats off to him because as Deborah says, "Where's your hat?" But he's very, very loyal. He starts the day off with us. He ends the day with us, and that's truthfully what it's all about. And so we appreciate it as we're getting ready to close out the show. Rick M said, "Did he play for the Dodgers?" No, he didn't play for the Dodgers. At least I don't think. But as we get ready to close out the show, listen. As always, I like to. Again, as Penguin AZ mentioned, if it isn't because of you guys, honestly, this wouldn't happen. And it's now Happy Feet is good. That's a good movie.
There you go.
That's always a good time. Yeah, Happy Feet the movie. And by the way, Deborah, if you missed in the very beginning, we talked about Airplane, and I'm quite sure she's watched it. But that'd be a good thing to go back and watch. The one thing I will say that I do love, so the last movie my mom and I saw together was Christmas Story. And that's coming up here tomorrow night on TNT, if I remember correctly, or
It's
TBS.
like 24 hours, right?
Yeah. Oh, but listen, my wife, she knows that I'm hooked. That's it. That's been the movie because, and I watch it because it was the last time her and I went to the movies. It was before that was E.T., then was Christmas Story when we ended up watching that together. So yeah, it's that's the one thing. It's a connection, and I'm thankful that they're still alive, both my mom and dad. And that I get to celebrate a little bit with them. Rick says, kudos to Beav for his patience. Listen, Beav is good. He comes in when he needs to come in. That's for sure. But yeah, Deborah, thanks. No, yes, that is my movie that my mom's when it's her time, because we all have an expiration date, unfortunately. But when it comes down to it, that's the movie that her and I have always shared. Merry Christmas to you as well, along with everybody else. I do appreciate it, Penguin, as he laughs about it. But no, listen, it's been celebrating pretty much a milestone away as well as, you're fine, Penguin AZ. But celebrating a milestone, it's been since 2017. So you're looking at now close to coming up on, it is 7 years on it now, where 7 years ago, it could have been a whole different change of life for me. As for those who don't know, if you're new to the show here, I contemplated suicide back in Christmas of 2017, which ironically was the same year that the Eagles, who knew that they were going to the Super Bowl. But I'm glad that I saw the light. And what I mean by that was I was doing a report down here at outside Lincoln Financial Field, something I used to do for myself. And the one thing I said to God, if it's not my time to go, I don't know what it is. But as I had a conversation with him, the lights were off at Lincoln Financial Field. The lights turned on. Basically, it was a signal for me saying, life's not over yet. Keep moving forward. And I've been thankful ever since, because if not, this would have never happened with everyone. And if it wasn't, thank you, Deborah, I appreciate it. But if it wasn't for that, trust me, I would have been gone a long time ago. Doesn't mean, and seeing the stuff that I saw during the military kind of added to it as well, and things that were going wrong in life. But thankfully, and same way, Penguin AC, we hope to meet you one day as well. But I say that because during the holidays, a lot of people lose family members, they lose friends throughout the year. And always this time of the year, more importantly, is always the hardest. Always the hardest. And yeah, you're right, Deborah, that it helps us make sports happy again, which is true. I mean, it's like music. You can go through the worst thing in life, and music is always the world healer to everything. But if you lost a family member or friend, anyone this year, just know that they are still blessed by the best, meaning God, and that they're in a better situation, and they never forget. And one day when we cross over, hopefully we'll get to see them. Beav will probably argue, and I'm pretty sure when I see him again, when it comes our time, it's going to be a great debate, and God's going to look at us like, oh, you two. All right, I got a special spot for you guys at the table. But, I say it in joking because let's not forget the people that we've lost in the past, and always remember the ones who love you back, the people who support, and the people who are always there for you. Again, this network would not thrive without people like Beav and Pete, Rick, Penguin AZ, Jerry from Rhode Island, Gas Pump Guy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on for the folks that end up tuning in. And again, I'm just forever grateful as we close out another year on the network. This year, it was a tremendous takeoff for the network, and I can only imagine what's going to happen for 2025, but the work doesn't stop for me. The rest of the guys will be off. Everybody will be enjoying time with their families. My wife will probably have to pull me away from the keyboard, but listen, when you run a company, that's the way it works. You are just a person in charge, and you have to make things happen to bring people back, week in and week out. So I do appreciate it. Rick says, and by the way, being honest here, I find the network therapeutic, so thank you. Listen, you're welcome. You are welcome. It's all about having fun. Listen, I've enjoyed my time with Beav. I know that if we have a controversial subject to talk about, the best person to put it on this morning, matter of fact, when Beav came on with Pete, I said I'm going to my guy Beav this morning because I knew that once I got heated debate about the Eagles, that Beav understood exactly where I was going. But listen, thanks to Beav. More importantly, thanks to Deborah for tuning in. I think there's 2 or 3 Deborahs. I'm almost certain to tune in throughout the different shows.
I bring in Hoekstras, Kathy and Deborah.
That's true. That is very true.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. But no, it's all about just enjoying it, and hopefully we give you guys the right product and to have fun with. And with that being said, we do appreciate everyone. Don't forget, tonight to close out the network shows for 2024 will be Lloyd Vance's Insider Football with himself and Kevin Midget. That would be the final show here for this year. And who knows, we might surprisingly just pop on. No, one never knows. But Beav, once again, thank you, sir. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your friendship. It's meant a lot in the past 4 months, and I can't even believe it's gone by that fast with us.
No, it's crazy. Just follow up on what you said. The holidays are tough for a lot of people, and check on the elderly, the handicapped, make sure everybody's okay. The weather, so forth, always an issue out here. We get ice. Just make sure everybody's okay, and just send them a text, make a phone call, go knock on the door. You'll be surprised. You never know what people are struggling with. Angel just talked about his own situation 7 years ago. I've been battling depression. I know people are stunned to hear that for about 5 years now. And it's a good time of year just to reach out and check on people. And I'm blessed to be part of this network, and Angel and you and Pete and everybody else. It's been a great time, and hopefully a lot more things to come. But cool, good thing to go, and everybody have a good holiday season.
Yep, everybody enjoyed Jerry in Rhode Island. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yes, indeed, Merry Christmas. You guys be safe, and more importantly, make sure you take care of one another. And with that being said, we thank you all. Don't forget, one last time, Lloyd Vance's Insider Football coming up at 8 p.m. Thank you. Enjoy the night and enjoy the holidays. Be safe, everyone.
Thanks again, Angel.